We do have Duke Energy on the phone with us right now.
Anna Gibbs joining us.
And Anna, we appreciate you being with us here. We're trying to get kind of a sense as to where you stand with power outages right now. How many people, how many customers are without power right now? And what's being done to try to restore that power at this point?
So right now, just for perspective, Duke Energy serves about 2 million customers throughout Florida. That's 35 counties from Highlands up to, coast to coast up to the Florida-Georgia line. So in Florida right now, of those 2 million customers, we have about 257,000 customers that are unfortunately without power. Obviously, that's due to the storm. And specifically in our Tampa Bay area, Pinellas County for us is one of the hardest hit counties. And in Pinellas alone, we serve pretty much everybody in Pinellas is served by Duke Energy. And as far as customer goes, we serve over 500,000 there. So I share that for perspective. And currently in Pinellas County, we have approximately 165,000 of our customers without power. And as far as what we're doing, so even before the storm ever hit, we have to get our resources here to Florida. And resources are line crews, those are linemen, vegetation maintenance crews, and even people that we call damage assessors to assess the damage after the storm hit. So again, before the storm ever hit, we had put a call out for assistance, and we were able to get approximately 10,000 of those crews to come to Florida. They are actually already staged and ready to respond throughout both Central Florida and right here in actually Pinellas County. So we get them as close as we can, but we have to keep them far away enough so they're not in this storm path. Obviously, they're bucket trucks and some materials, and we just have to keep them far enough away so they are not, in fact, safe from the storm. With that said, those locations include Tropicana Field. We have about 700 trucks there, and the others are in the villages and in Polk County. It's called Ritchie Brothers. It's a business. So literally thousands of those trucks and crews are standing by. Right now, because we are, in fact, facing these winds and the flooding conditions, we have to ask our crews to stand by. Our buckets cannot go up in the air until the winds subside below 35 miles per hour. And as you can imagine, probably the greatest threat from this particular hurricane is the flooding. And we cannot restore power if there is flooding in your home or basically interacting with the electricity. As you can imagine, electricity and water do not mix. So, in fact, as a safety precaution, we would ask that if you're in a flood zone or if you're in an area that's prone to flooding, go ahead and go into your breaker and proactively turn off your power. That's going to keep you safe and your property safe while you may be evacuated or, again, if you see that the water is rising. You definitely don't want to put yourself in that dangerous situation, and you want to protect your property so you don't have a risk of further damage to your electrical system or even potentially cause a fire.
Anna, I'd like to ask, how do you all, when it comes to turning back power on, so once it is safe for those crews and all those linemen who are ready to get into action and make sure that customers do have power again, how do you prioritize who goes first?
Sure. So what we consider, we work with our local community members, and what I mean by that are, emergency operations centers. And there are pre-identified critical care facilities. And some may be obvious, some may not. So the obvious ones are things like hospitals, 911 call centers, fire rescue. So any of those critical facilities that, again, I think are probably pretty obvious to why those are important. Some of the ones that may not be so obvious include things like your water. So any of your cities that are obviously providing water, to us and to everybody, right? You need your water. That's a critical facility. We need to get those water facilities back on. And that includes water treatment facilities, which most people know as just your sewer system, because, of course, we all need our facilities to get through these difficult times. So those are the first types of facilities that are, in fact, placed back into service. So if you live near one of those facilities, you will have the advantage of likely being one of our first customers that come back on. But after we get those critical facilities back on, we then move on to basically the outages that contain the largest cluster of customers that, may be out. And so we're looking for what we call devices or infrastructure that we can fix, that when we fix that, it may be, a substation, but they're larger infrastructure that when fixed will bring back the largest number of customers. So that's how we proceed with our power outages. But I think it's important to understand sometimes customers may be frustrated because they're looking for our trucks and they don't see the trucks immediately around their homes. We also have an order of operation to how we restore power when it actually comes to the physical infrastructure that we need to fix first. And so if you're driving down a highway and you see power lines that look like they're literally, over 100 feet above, those are transmission lines. So those come straight out of our power plants, and those typically have to be fixed first. If those lines are down and we're trying to fix a transformer near your home, the power is not going to come on. So there's an operation or process that we have to go through to get that power back on, and that starts with transformers, then these substations, then the lines that are closer to your homes and these other devices, like I mentioned, the transformer. And if it's not done in that order or we try to do it backwards, the lights may not come back on. So I definitely want customers to understand that there is a method to how we are able to turn the power back on. So again, and I should say that obviously when it's safe to do so.
Yeah. Anna, you've done a really good job explaining how that process works. Just so people are realistic about this, and without holding you to a specific time frame here, what is the range you think people can expect their power to be turned on? Are we talking hours, days, a week? What do you think realistically, given the impact of this storm on our area, is a realistic time frame for some people to perhaps be waiting?
So it's I know that's the $1 million question, and everybody always asks that. So let me give you two different perspectives. One is every single outage is different, and if it involves, and just to give you, two different instances, if all that is wrong with your particular power outage includes a fuse that literally takes moments to repair, if you have a broken pole, replacing a pole takes hours. But you also have to factor in what we just talked about. So it's really difficult to try to tell, somebody how long that is without knowing all the different variables that may be involved in a person's particular outage. So we highly encourage our customers to stay connected. One of the things that's really important during these times is to please go into your customer account, make sure we have your customer information. That means your phone number, your email, and then pick a way that you want us to talk to you, which means that we can proactively tell you what's happening so that you know for your specific home and address what that time frame is going to look like. So again, we text, we can email, we can even call you to keep you updated as we're going through this process that I described. And in the coming days, as again, once it's safe and we have a little bit better idea of the damage and assessment, we can also provide probably better answer that question that you're asking is, can we give a more generic answer to, hey, in general,
submerged. This entire neighborhood will go underwater. And so, while many people out there might be watching Hurricane Ian pulling away from our area, moving off to the northeast at this point, breathing a sigh of relief that the storm is moving out of our area, I can tell you that the people who live in this neighborhood are just beginning to have the same sort of anxiety and playing that same sort of waiting game that most of us have been playing for the last couple of days, waiting for this storm to roll in. For them, this is just the start of what is going to be a disaster.
And it all rushes down here because this leads straight out to the bay. So all of that's going to come up.
Because all